For Mamma Mia, I'm your host, Ashani Dante. Welcome to But Are You Happy? The podcast for people who think healing is buying a new water bottle and deleting their Instagram for the afternoon.
And I'm Dr Anastasia Hronis, a clinical psychologist passionate about happiness and mental health. This week is the last week that we are bringing you a special episode focused on the holiday season. Last week, we spoke about the financial pressures we all experience over this season of buying gifts and paying for holidays.
Today, we're talking about how to navigate difficult family and friend dynamics when you're forced to see them at holiday events. Maybe you have different political views. Maybe you've fallen out with them, or maybe you never really liked them.
I'm going to tell you how you can actually engage with these types of people at the gatherings you've been dreading.
Let's get into it. So it's really funny because when we were preparing for this episode, it got me thinking about those memes on Instagram around if you think you've healed, just spend a weekend with your family.
Oh,
You know those ones? You know the ones around there?
I haven't seen that.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to send it. But it's so funny because it genuinely gets me thinking more about why do the people that we love most trigger us the most?
Those old wounds.
Seriously.
They get triggered up. It's funny. It's so true that family can irritate us and upset us in ways that other strangers or acquaintances just can't. You know, even if someone we just met said something that was more mean than what a family member says, we have history with our family. And so that one comment that upsets us at, the dinner table is actually not just about the one comment. It's about all the comments that have come before it.
It's so true. There is so much history, and it gets me thinking about sometimes, like when I'm back with my family, it's like I regress into being a 15-year-old and then I just have this inner conflict being like, oh my gosh, Ashani, what are you doing? We've done so much inner work. How are we here? Like, do you know what I mean?
Regression to the old roles.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's a very common thing that people talk about when they're with family and perhaps, they're now living independently or they have families of their own and then they go back to their sort of core family from their upbringing, that they do go back into those more childlike roles. Yeah. And I've certainly heard people talk about, being really quite successful people in their day-to-day lives, really confident in their workplace, and then suddenly they go back to the family home and they're the quiet, timid, 15-year-old, like you said, waiting to take instructions from mum and dad.
Yeah, so true.
I like that we're talking about this regression into different roles because it reminds me of a type of therapy called internal family systems or IFS for short. And I know you know a bit about this as well, but for the listeners out there, it's essentially this notion that we have different parts within ourselves, but these parts can be influenced by the ways in which our family dynamics were constructed. So for example, we might have sort of the part of us that's like the manager role, who's really good at like keeping the peace and organizing things and trying to prevent conflict. And we might have the firefighter who's like, oh no, there's some tension going on, quick, like put that out, make a funny joke, diffuse the situation. So we have these different roles and parts within us, but depending on who we're with from our family, different kind of parts of us will come out as well.
It's like different characters in a way, isn't it?
Yes. And I guess different levels of comfortability with vulnerability, how much we're willing to share with our family, the sorts of topics we're happy to talk to them about, etc.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think when it comes to family dynamics, there's this, it's hard to be vulnerable sometimes because they are the closest people in your life and you're like, oh, can I share this? Is it safe to? Will I receive a lot of backlash,
Yeah, and often they're the people we hope we will get love and acceptance and validation from, or we expect we'll get those things. And so if instead we're met with criticism or, some tough love, that hits harder.
Yeah, totally. And it's so different to friends, right? Because friends, like we choose to hang out with our friends. We can't really choose our family. Like we're born into our families, we get what we get and we're stuck with them for life with love, of course.
And it's funny because sometimes family can actually be a bit of a mirror back to us in a way that irritates us, but it actually reflects things within ourselves that perhaps we feel unresolved with, or whether we're not happy about within ourselves.
Yeah, I'm so glad you talk about the mirrors part, because it's so easy to just go into blaming the way that other people are, which can be completely valid, you know, with whatever the context is or the history that's there or however they're made up. But I think as well, the reality is at the end of the day, like, we can't control how other people show up. Like, we can try to communicate our needs, but at the end of the day, we can control how we show up. So I like that self-responsibility piece and the self-reflective, being like, okay, why is that person triggering me? What is it bringing up within me that I haven't yet fully looked at? So
Absolutely.
It's a mirror.
Yes. It gives us some insight into what we need to work on as well.
Yeah, which can be confronting, but also healing too.
Yes. And I feel like this is a nice time to talk about those emotional wounds. And I know we've used this analogy in a previous episode where we talked about trauma, but really when I think about emotional wounds, it doesn't have to just relate to trauma. It can be any sort of existing psychological or emotional hardship that we've carried with us for some period of time. And I think about that wound, if you imagine like a scab on your arm, say, if you walk past a tree and a branch sort of scratches that scab and it comes off, blood's going to come rushing out. If you don't have that scab, then it's just like, ouch, a little scratch. It hurts, but it doesn't hurt that much. But if the scab comes off and blood comes out, that's more painful and more intense. And that's often how it feels when we're around family who trigger up those old wounds that we have.
So true. It's such a good analogy.
Can I just talk about Christmas movies and movies about the holidays for a minute?
Oh my gosh, let's do it. I love it.
I love a cheesy Christmas movie. Love.
So good.
The cheesier the better.
What's your top one? I'm so curious.
Ooh, I do like Love Actually.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Where she stands outside with the sign.
Yeah, so romantic.
But when in real life does that ever happen?
It's true. It's so true.
But this is the thing about these Christmas movies and these holiday movies, is that they paint these unrealistic expectations of what the holiday period should be like and what family gatherings should be like.
Yeah, it's so true.
And it's funny because they don't necessarily paint the picture of the perfect happy family. I mean, some do, but a lot don't.
There's always drama.
There's always drama, right? It wouldn't be like an interesting movie without some drama. But it's always drama that gets resolved.
Yeah, that is so true.
It's always drama that can somehow be resolved just before Christmas, just before the big family gathering, or just after, or just in time. You know, it sells us this message that that the core happy family does exist. You've just got to overcome a couple of hurdles to get there, and then lo and behold, it can all come together for you. And that's beautiful if that's how it happens. But the reality is that's not a lot of people's experiences.
Yeah, so true. Like, conflict doesn't just stop. You know what I mean? Like, it can be ongoing and it can be years. It can really drag on.
Well, we're probably not going to resolve like years of family tensions over one Christmas dinner.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we'd like that.
It would be nice.
Unfortunately, no.
Yes. So I think that's important to note, because if people don't have that experience, but they see that portrayed in movies and on TV, that can lead people to feel not so good about their own situation. Or if they don't have the big happy family, if maybe Christmas, New Year's, holiday periods are actually quite quiet and lonely times for people, seeing these depictions of what these festivities should look like can then be really hard.
It really is setting up these unrealistic expectations at the end of the day. It's interesting that you were talking about loneliness, because it gets me thinking about how sometimes around the holiday period, it actually can bring up a bit of grief for people, because there's certain people not at the table that you wanted, you know?
Yes. Grief as a result of loss from, family members perhaps passing away, or from estranged family members, dynamics and tensions in families where maybe someone's no longer talking to their family or a member of their family. And that can be a really hard time for people and really brings those issues to the forefront of their mind. So again, these festivities that are sold as being really joyous, happy, fun times often come with a lot of complexity and sometimes also a lot of pain.
Totally. Okay, Anastasia, how do we engage in conversations with loved ones without erupting? Is it possible?
It is possible. It's not always easy though.
Yeah. Good answer.
So a couple of tips for people. First one, if you are going to family get-togethers and family gatherings, be prepared. If you've got that one uncle that likes to talk politics, be prepared that that's a conversation that may come up at the dinner table. And be prepared as to how you yourself want to approach some of those challenging conversations. You might decide that, the New Year's barbecue isn't necessarily the time or place where you want to be having these bigger conversations with some family members. Maybe that's not the time to talk about religion or politics or money. And so you decide to save those conversations for a later time. If someone else engages you in those conversations, you can politely decline to talk about it with them, or you can sort of steer the conversation in another direction, or you can choose to be quiet if it is a bigger conversation. I think some people may feel a pressure, like if I don't contribute to this conversation, if I don't add my 2 cents, if I don't share my beliefs on this topic, then I'm doing myself a disservice. I would say there's a time and a place for everything. And so it's completely up to you if it feels like engaging in those conversations is going to be too much at this point in time.
So it's interesting when you just giving the example about the uncle that likes to talk about politics. And how would you politely decline that conversation though, right? Because there is this element where if you are younger, it's like, how do I communicate that in a respectful way,
Yeah. It could be something as simple as saying, oh, there's so much happening right now with the state of the world and with politics. But you know what? I'm so happy just enjoying this barbecue as it is. Let's go back for another sausage of the barbecue or something. Actually diverting the conversation away from it, acknowledging that someone wants to talk about it, but sharing, that's not what I want to do right now. I actually want to enjoy my time and connect with people.
Yeah, I love that.
Preparation for the family get-togethers can even sometimes go as far as thinking through where you might sit, who you might sit next to, where you might stand, who you're going to actually surround yourself with. If there are family members that you have a little bit more of a challenging time with, actually sort of strategically thinking through if you might like to not spend as much time with them and how you can make that happen.
Strategic. We like it.
I think it's about being prepared.
Yeah.
Right? Know yourself, know what topics are maybe no-go topics for you, and be prepared rather than walking into a situation where you feel ambushed.
So do you have any other tips?
Yes. Practically, take some breaks. If the family get-togethers feel overwhelming for you, take a bathroom break, take a walk around the block break, I've just got to make a quick phone call outside break, take whatever break it needs to be. But allow yourself that time to regroup your thoughts, manage your own internal emotional experiences, and decide how you want to proceed with the family get-together. Is it that you need to take a breather and then you can re-enter? Or is it that you need to take a breather and then go, maybe I don't have too much left in the bucket and I'll probably need to leave this gathering soon.
I love that.
One more suggestion I have is for people to be willing and prepared to disappoint others. So make sure you say yes when you actually mean yes, and make sure you say no when you mean no. Do you actually want the responsibility of cooking the meals for the Christmas dinner? Or do you actually want to be spending money on buying gifts? Or do you actually want to do the things that you were saying yes for? Or are you doing them out of obligation or habit? This might be a time where you reconsider what it really is that you want out of the holidays, how you want to connect with other people, and how you can communicate your boundaries around those.
Anastasia, can you reiterate on the main takeaways from today's episode?
Yes. First of all, family can trigger old emotional wounds in us, sometimes more than strangers or acquaintances can. Second, avoid getting pulled into the myth of the perfect family gathering that's sold to us via Hollywood. And last of all, have a plan for how to manage difficult family dynamics and be prepared to set some no-go topics of conversation.